Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a story that really makes you think about wealth, perception, and what truly matters in life. It's the story of Alex, a young tech billionaire who decided to go undercover in his own city. Alex wasn't your typical billionaire. He didn't flaunt his wealth with fancy cars or designer clothes. In fact, he found the attention exhausting. At just 28, he'd built a software empire from his college dorm room, but he felt disconnected from the real world. He missed the days when people saw him for who he was, not for his bank account, so he came up with a plan. He rented a small, modest apartment in an older part of the city, swapped his luxury sedan for a beat-up bicycle, and started dressing in simple, secondhand clothes. He told his close circle he was taking a sabbatical to write a book. For all intents and purposes, he was just an ordinary guy trying to make ends meet. His new apartment building was a far cry from his penthouse. It was old, the paint was peeling, but it had a certain charm. It was also home to Mrs. Eleanor Vance, a woman in her late 80s who lived on the floor below him. Eleanor was the unofficial matriarch of the building. She had lived there for over 50 years and knew everyone. She was known for her sharp wit, her incredible garden on the small balcony, and her uncanny ability to know everything that was going on. The first time Alex met Eleanor, he was struggling to carry a box of groceries up the stairs. The elevator was, as usual, out of order. He was huffing and puffing when a clear, strong voice called out from below. "You need to lift with your knees, son, not your back. You'll throw it out before you're 30. He turned to see a small, white-haired woman with sparkling blue eyes leaning on her doorframe. That was Eleanor. Over the next few weeks, Alex settled into his new, anonymous life. He enjoyed the simple things: riding his bike to the local library, grabbing a coffee from the corner cafe, and surprisingly, his regular encounters with Eleanor. She'd often be sitting on the front steps when he got home, and she'd always have something to say. She'd comment on the weather, complain about the landlord, or offer him a piece of unsolicited advice. One afternoon, she called him over. "You look a bit thin, dear," she said, handing him a container of homemade soup. "You young people, always working so hard and forgetting to eat properly." Alex was touched. It had been years since someone had shown him such simple, genuine kindness. He ate the soup, and it was the most delicious thing he'd tasted in a long time. He started visiting her regularly. He'd help her with her groceries, fix her leaky faucet, and listen to her stories about the old days. He learned about her late husband, a firefighter, and her 2 children who lived far away. He never once mentioned his real life. To Eleanor, he was just Alex, the quiet young man upstairs who was finding himself. He enjoyed this new identity. He felt more real than he had in years. One day, Eleanor seemed troubled. She was staring at an official-looking letter. "What's wrong, Eleanor?" Alex asked. She sighed. "It's the building, dear. A big corporation just bought it. They're planning a massive renovation. They're offering us a small payout to leave, but it's not enough to find another place in this city. This is my home. I don't know where I'll go." A knot formed in Alex's stomach. He looked at the letter. The name of the corporation was a subsidiary, a holding company, but he recognized it immediately. It was one of his. Unbeknownst to him, his vast real estate division had acquired this block for a new luxury development project. He was the one, indirectly, evicting the kind old woman who had been feeding him soup. The irony was crushing. He felt a wave of guilt. He had the power to stop this with a single phone call. But if he did, his cover would be blown. Eleanor and everyone else would know who he really was. He would no longer be just Alex. He wrestled with the decision. For days, he avoided Eleanor, unable to face her. He knew he had to do something, but he was afraid of losing the one genuine connection he'd made. Finally, he couldn't stand the guilt any longer. He went downstairs and knocked on her door, his heart pounding. "Eleanor," he began, "I have to tell you something about the building." He took a deep breath and confessed everything. He told her his real name, what he did for a living, and that his company was the one buying the building. He braced himself for her reaction. Anger, disappointment, maybe even a feeling of betrayal. He was ready for her to see him as just another rich man who didn't care about the little people. But Eleanor didn't get angry. She just sat there, listening patiently. When he finished, a slow smile spread across her face. It was a knowing, slightly mischievous smile. She chuckled softly. "Oh, dear boy," she said, her blue eyes twinkling. I know, Alex was stunned. You know? How? Eleanor leaned forward. The first time I saw you, I noticed your watch. It was simple, but I recognized the brand. My late husband was given one just like it for his 25 years of service with the fire department. It was a very, very expensive watch. Not something a struggling young writer would own. Then there were your shoes. They looked worn, but they were handmade Italian leather. Little things. I've been around a long time, Alex. I've learned to see things other people miss. Alex was speechless. All this time, she knew. Why didn't you say anything? He asked, completely bewildered. Because it didn't matter, she replied simply. I didn't care about your money. I saw a young man who looked lonely. A young man who needed a bowl of soup and someone to talk to. So that's what I did. The man who fixed my faucet and listened to my old stories. That was the real you. The money is just stuff. It's not who you are. Then she looked at him, her expression turning serious. The question isn't why I didn't say anything, Alex. The question is, what are you going to do now? Now that you know what's happening to your neighbors. To me, that moment was a turning point for Alex. He was humbled and profoundly moved. Eleanor had seen past the billionaire and the disguise right into his heart. She had taught him a lesson no business school ever could. That kindness is a currency that never loses its value, and that our character is defined by our actions, not our possessions. Of course, Alex immediately canceled the development project. But he didn't stop there. He went a step further. He established a foundation in Eleanor's name, dedicated to protecting affordable housing in the city. He put Eleanor on the board, much to her initial protest. The building was not only saved, but he funded a complete renovation, ensuring all the original tenants could stay without any rent increases. The leaky faucets were fixed, the elevator was modernized, and the garden on Eleanor's balcony got a brand new greenhouse. Alex never went back to his penthouse. He sold it. He still lived in his small apartment, though he did finally admit to owning a slightly nicer bicycle. He continued to run his empire, but with a new perspective. He integrated philanthropy and social responsibility into the very core of his business. He found a way to be both the billionaire and just Alex. His friendship with Eleanor blossomed. They remained the closest of friends until she passed away peacefully a few years later at the age of 91. At her memorial, which was attended by hundreds of people from the community whose lives she'd touched, Alex shared her story. He spoke about her wisdom, her kindness, and the lessons she taught him. Eleanor saw people, he said, his voice thick with emotion. She didn't see status or wealth, she saw souls. And she taught me that the greatest fortune we can ever have is the positive impact we have on others. It's a powerful reminder for all of us. True wealth isn't what's in our bank accounts, but what's in our hearts. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below. It really makes you think, doesn't it? Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this, please give it a like and subscribe for more content just like this. We'll see you in the next one.